States. I now give the floor to the representative of Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also join other colleagues thanking ASG colleague Kiri for his comprehensive briefing. Mr. President, for millennia, the Middle East has been a crossroad of civilization, with its abundant historical, cultural, and religious heritage. However, what we have been witnessing for almost 2 years now unfortunately represent a painful cycle of profound instability, the denial of coexistence, and a total destruction of a shared humanity. Hamas committed the worst terrorist attacks against Israel and still brutally holds 50 hostages. Israel's airstrikes and gunfire, as well as restrictions to humanitarian aid, are pushing Palestinian civilians in Gaza deeper into death and starvation. Not only in Gaza, but also in the West Bank, the Palestinian people's right to life, dignity, and coexistence is repeatedly being denied. In the wider Middle East region, sirens and airstrikes have become the new normal. Keeping in mind the pressing urgency in addressing these concerning realities, let me stress the following 3 points. First, we call on all parties in the region, notably Israel and Hamas, to recover common humanity. The horrific casualties, including 17,000 children killed in Gaza, the hunger, chaos, and killing in and around the GHF distribution sites, and the widespread destruction of civilian infrastructure, including religious, health, and UN sites, all elucidate staggering evidence of a loss of fundamental humanity. Meanwhile, we will not forget the terror and the shock that Hamas inflicted on Israel on October 7, 2023. It is unconscionable that Hamas again still holds hostages and remains underneath tunnels regardless of the fear and despair of civilians in Gaza. As starvation surges, we call on Israel to end all restrictions on humanitarian assistance and allow the UN to deliver life-saving aid to those in need throughout Gaza. In this respect, we reaffirm our strong support for all humanitarian agencies of UN, including OCHA and UNRWA. Both parties must protect civilians and faithfully engage in talks to secure an immediate ceasefire and release of hostages. The war in Gaza must end now. Second, Israel and Palestinians, Jews, Muslims, and Christians must coexist in lasting peace and security. Any action that hinders this simple but clear proposition must immediately come to a halt. Violence by settlers in the West Bank, regardless of the nationality of the victims, is unacceptable. And thus, all perpetrators must be held accountable in accordance with clear international standards. Israel must cease settlement activities in the occupied Palestinian territory, which are contrary to international law and Security Council resolutions. We oppose the announcement by Israel on the resumption of E1 settlements. This only will bifurcate a non-contiguous West Bank and further hamper future prospect for the two-state solutions. We also reject calls to forcibly relocate Palestinians in or outside of Gaza, such as the so-called Humanitarian City Plan, slated for the rubble where the city of Rafah once stood. We continue to extend our consistent support on efforts to revive the two-state solution. Third, all players must strive for de-escalation and stability throughout the region through diplomacy. We call on key players in the regions to adhere to the purpose and principles of the UN Charter, including the peaceful settlement of disputes and respect for territorial sovereignty. All actions that further aggravate insecurity, either on land or sea, must stop. Amid the endless spillover of violence in the region, we must seek ways to achieve peace through dialogue and diplomacy. In particular, ongoing talks in the region on non-proliferation now provide us with an important moment for diplomacy. We thus call on all parties in the region to seize any opportunity to secure regional peace and stability for the benefits of the people. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Representative of Republic of Korea. I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Rais.
Mr. President, at the outset, I express my country's appreciation for holding this open debate at a time